Hello, everyone. It's me again. It was good seeing you this past Tuesday. What I'm going to be providing you with today is introductory information regarding World War I, the First World War, the war to end all wars, as well as the homework assignment that you're going to complete for Monday by 2:30. So, in looking at information regarding World War I, this war to end all wars, starting off with a question here. What do you know about World War I? You've probably heard about it before. You probably have seen images of it, or maybe you have had the chance to see this movie, 1917, by Sam Mendes. I had the chance to see it. Excellent film, excellent depiction regarding two soldiers and their journey over a couple of days during World War I in the year 1917. On a personal note here, what you're seeing is an image of my great-grandfather, Sylvester di Crescenzi, who was an immigrant from Italy who served in the First World War. And this picture was taken while he was at Camp Dix at the time. Today it's known as Fort Dix, which was an area where many soldiers were trained and sent to Europe during the First World War. Now, what we're going to see here is a lot of images. It was a lot of images because of the use of photography, conscripted soldiers being taken to the Western Front by military buses. When we say conscripted, these were soldiers who were drafted. You could see, how these soldiers were before being brought off to battle. Military buses, we start to see vehicles being used during this war as well. What most people mention when they think about World War I are the trenches. Here is an image of German soldiers in their trenches near Antwerp in Belgium in September of 1914. Another image here of soldiers in their trenches. You can see how cramped, uncomfortable it was. We have a soldier here who's trying to write a letter using his knee as leg. You have a soldier who is asleep. Not the best conditions. In particular, when it came to something known as trench foot, which was sores, blisters, infection that developed on soldiers' feet due to the water that would go through their boots, would rot the leather. It was a terrible condition to deal with. In addition to dealing with animals in the trenches, rats, we have an image here of German soldiers after they went rat hunting in their trenches, so they had to deal with that as well. And again, the water. Water was a big issue with the trenches. We have an image here of British soldiers trying to keep their trenches dry by pumping out the water. Most of it was done by hand, manually. They did have some motors eventually that they brought in to operate the machines, but it was all mostly manual labor and trying to keep the water out of their trenches. In addition, we see here with the First World War is just the sheer amount of destruction of Peronne during the Battle of the Somme. It's almost, if you can imagine in your minds, a giant coming down, taking his or her foot and pushing down on all of these buildings, these structures, just sheer destruction. In addition to the large amount of dead because of this war, and you were buried close to where you died. Your body wasn't brought back to your home, as well as the amount of orphans because of this world war. These photos were taken and they were published in magazines to help reunite families, children with their parents or parents. The children had numbers that they were put on their clothing, and you could see that the board in the background, you had the numbers and the names. Sadly, though, a lot of children were never reunited with their parent or parents after the First World War, whether it was death or other circumstances. Now, I want to stop here because this is what you're going to be doing your homework assignment on, where you're going to be looking at World War I, the Great War, as the three firsts. The First World War, the First Total War, and the First Modern War. And you're going to be filling out the boxes in this Google Doc. Taking this information, writing it in your own words, and how World War I, the Great War, was the first World War, the first Total War, and the first Modern War. And again, this is going to be due by Monday at 2:30. And a little bit about these three firsts, is that it was the First World War because you could see by the map here and how everybody in the world was involved. The Allies here in green, Great Britain being one, Russia being another, eventually the United States. The Central Powers, primarily Germany, Austria-Hungary, the Ottoman Empire, and the neutral countries, one example being Spain. So it was a world war. It was a total war because it involved everybody, not only the men who went off to fight and the women, but also the people on the home front, propaganda posters, Women of Britain say go. Who's absent? Is it you, John Bull, in England? Australia has promised Britain 50,000 more men. Will you help keep that promise? These are all propaganda posters. There's thousands of them on the internet. Every aspect of life was included in this great war, World War I. In terms of the modern war as well, you saw the use and the introduction of gas, chlorine, mustard gas, the use of gas masks, tanks that were introduced. They weren't exactly efficient. Eventually they will improve on them and they'll be used more. So with the Second World War, as well as this image down here, the German Zeppelin, the air balloon, a blimp that was used for reconnaissance as well as for weather. So this was definitely the first modern war when you think of World War I. And again here, more of the trenches in Flanders as well as the German U-boat, which will be part of the reason why the United States of America gets involved in the First World War. Again, more images here regarding the ruins from the air of Ypres in Belgium. Just the total amount of destruction. So we would like for you to complete that homework assignment. The three firsts, the First World War, the First Total War, as well as the First Modern War. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Again, we will see you this Tuesday, June 9th. Take care and be well. Bye-bye.